You're listening to the Thoroughbred podcast, an elite business leadership podcast.
We are the world. We are the children. Shalenge. We are the ones who make a brighter day. So let's start giving. Hey guys, welcome to the Thoroughbred podcast. We're going to talk about some crazy shit that has gone down in the last 48 hours. Thank you for tuning in. My name is John Wentworth. I really appreciate you tuning into this podcast. This is all about elite business leadership, and we're going to dive deep today on this episode. You know, Monday I walked into the office being an agent, and with Remax, you know, we have a team of 25 amazing people that I've been blessed to lead. And Monday I walked in, my manager came to my office, and he sat down and he said, you know, there's been some good times and there's been some bad times. And I don't even know what the hell he's talking about, and nor did I really care. And then he proceeds to tell me that he's given me a 48-hour notice that our contract is being terminated. So in that moment, in my mind, I'm thinking, thank you. And I'm thinking, fuck you, right? That's just how my mind works. And I had a big smile on the inside, but I didn't want to show it to him. And I didn't want confrontation. I just wanted to move on. But in that moment, right, that's when you have to decide, what's next? How are we going to move forward? And that's really what this podcast is about, which leads into what this, what this topic today is about is, being an elite business person isn't about talk. It isn't about money. It isn't about ego. It's about being able to operate in the moment, being able to put your ego aside, to put your emotions aside. Right? I mean, I think that's a really big one. In that moment, I did not have emotion. And the emotion that maybe I did have naturally was to the side. And I had to make a decision in that moment. What are we going to do? How am I going to propel? Right? I'm looking at this as not a setback, right? This is an opportunity to propel us forward. And so, I made a phone call to my wife. I said, honey, are you at home? She said, yes. I said, okay, I'll be there in a minute. What's wrong? I said, don't worry about it. I'll be there in a minute. And so, walk in the door. She's standing there with a look of what the hell's wrong on her face. And I said, I just got fired from Remax. And my wife, she doesn't operate the way that I do, right? I mean, to me, that's just water off my back and let's move forward and let's figure shit out. And for her, that's not her, right? And I was aware of that, obviously. And so going into it, I just wanted to be sure that I had her in a comfortable place. And I said to her, she said, are we going to be okay? And I said, you're fucking right, we will be. I said, get dressed. I need you to come to the office with me because I have to tell 25 people. And this isn't just about the 25 people, right? This is about their families. I mean, literally, Remax pulled the rug from us in 48 hours. And I've had some great times here at Remax, and I certainly don't want to beat up on that brand. Maybe it was more internal. Maybe it was management. Maybe it was ownership of the particular branch. But I will tell you this because people always ask, well, what happened? The truth is, I don't know. I just know that when you challenge status quo, that makes people nervous. And maybe, maybe I did that. Maybe there's a little more to it. But getting back to my wife, because I think this is really important, if I walked in there crying, or if I walked in there, which never even crossed my mind, but looking back on it, right? If I walked in there in dismay, it puts her in dismay. And so if you're in a leadership role in your business and you're operating and you're exposing your emotions, which, by the way, I operate my business with my heart, not by the numbers. And I think that is something that all of us, every one of you listening, you need to really take some notice to. Because if you're only about the numbers, you will not be able to go through what I went through in the last 48 hours, because it isn't about the numbers, it's about the people. And when you operate from your heart, people are more apt to run with you. When you operate based on numbers, anytime there's a kink, people are going to flee. So I grab my wife's hand, we jump in the car, we go to the office, and walk into a room. I sent out on Slack our communication amongst us. I sent out a Slack, hey, very important meeting at noon on the sales floor. Please be there. And, in the midst of a day among realtors, heck, you don't know if 3 people are going to be able to make it. But almost everyone was there. I think we were missing 2 people, maybe 3. And, I was able to, with conviction in my heart, share with these people that we've been terminated, share with these people that it's a blessing, and share with them a commitment to leading them to a way higher place, to a way higher level, and to remove their fears and anxieties, right? And I got to tell you guys, because of that, and I'm reflecting on this as I'm sharing this with you. I walk into this podcast with a topic, right? Your ass got fired is what it says on the chalkboard here, basically, and that's what I'm going to share. And so there's no rehearsal here, and it's raw. But because we're operating from a place of love, and again, I'm reflecting on this, I'm like, how have we been able to stay so strong and move forward during this crazy time? And we're talking 48 hours. And the response from the team was excitement, 100%, support, 100%, engaged, excited, motivated, ready to rock. And comments like, "We got your back, we're going to do this." There was no fear. There was no anxiety. And it turned into a cheering session, a rah-rah session. And I just said, look, we're going to take this opportunity. And, I was thinking about this at Mass today. I was at school Mass with the kids. And really, I'm reflecting in that moment on what I felt in that moment of getting fired. And really what it did, it freed me from my comfort zone. It freed me from my comfort zone. And that's a scary thing for someone that's doing $100 million a year in our business and sales, in a comfort zone. So I'd say that's a scary thing for everyone in our market, because I've been operating in my comfort zone for a little while, and I always push myself a little bit, but there's still a comfort zone, right? You have your safety, you know what you know. And when you are just thrusted into the unknown, it broke me free. And I'm telling you, the last 48 hours, I've been more fired up than I've been fired up in my real estate career. And I just know that there are so many more things we can do inside of our business to better service our clients, to better service the public. And I really think that's what it's all about. And so I'm super excited for that opportunity. In 48 hours, we were fired. We found a place to lease. We secured our independent name, which is Wentworth Real Estate Group. All of these people, this team has all just rallied together. And I learned something else. I'm a micromanager a little bit, and I don't love that. But in this moment, I haven't had time to micromanage in 48 hours because I've got so much shit to accomplish. I've slept about maybe 3 hours the last 2 nights. I guess that adds up to 6, and I was going to say 8. So maybe I slept 4 hours the last 2 nights, and still hitting the gym at 6 a.m. and still keeping my routine on taking the kids to school and doing all of those things that I've promised to them and to myself that I would do. But I've also learned something else. There's so much more time in a day. Holy shit. Since I've been committed to working out and getting up early and doing all of those things, you find time in the day. But when your back's against the wall and you have to make shit happen within 48 hours, because there are, if there's 26 people on our team, 26 times 2 times children times cats and dogs and horses, there's a lot of people that are dependent on the actions that I take. And I embrace that. I love that. I love that people have that confidence in me, because it it boosts my own confidence. And I love that. And so, we are already up and running as a new brokerage. Now, we don't have any signs yet. We're working on that. We're solidifying our space and when we're going to be able to move into that. So there's a lot of crazy moving pieces. But because I didn't have time to micromanage, our team just took the bull by the horns. And so much has been done outside of me having to dictate it and or to watch over it. And so that's been amazing to see. Guys, we've been at Remax for 6 years. We've been the number one. And so maybe here's some protection, right? We've been the number one Remax of Michigan team for the last 5 years. And, I don't look at contracts because I don't like contracts. There are some things that I could have done and I would encourage you to do to maybe protect yourself, because I don't give a shit about leaving here. It is a little tough to do in 48 hours, right? So, I could have looked at my contract and said, that's a poor clause that I have a 48-hour exit strategy. And I need to look at that. And maybe you need to look at that. Like, could you have went back and renegotiated that for 2 weeks? Because of course you could have in the moment. But this 48 hours has been a whirlwind. It has reminded me what a thoroughbred is. Right? It has reminded me what it takes to be a true leader of people, and it isn't about the money, right? Yes, we have to provide for our family, but it isn't about the money. And so I'm just going back to you again, you who is listening right now. You got to lead your business with your heart. You have to lead your business with your heart, especially in today's environment. People can go anywhere they want. There's a lot of choices, right? But you've got to lead your business with your heart, and people will stay with you. They will fight for you, and they will propel at you and your team together. 2 defining episodes really now have occurred in my life, in my real estate career. And I shared with you on the first podcast about the time that I had zero money, but I had a bunch of homes pending, and I went to that broker and I said, broker, I need to borrow $5,000 because I don't have money to eat or to pay my bills. And that broker said to me, well, John, I'll give you $2,500. And I said, well, I don't need $2,500. I need $5,000. And by the way, I had about 8 pending at the time. I said, I need $5,000. He said, yeah, but I'm going to give you $2,500 because that'll keep you working hard. That will keep you hungry. And I said, well, I've got twice as many pending as you do. I don't need help being hungry. I'm naturally hungry. Anyway, he wouldn't give me the $5,000, and I quit the next day. Now, fast forward 8 years, here we are at Remax and getting let go and being given 48 hours. And think about that. I mean, when you think about that, like, I don't know what the animosity was towards me, and I don't really care. But think about that small-mindedness from such a huge brand. And again, I don't think it's the brand. It's the people that are operating inside of the brand. They basically cut loose, not me, right? They cut loose probably 50, 60, 70 people, myself, employees, and their families. And so, and I could never do that because I operate from my heart, and everyone knows that. So there's a comfort here, right? And yeah, they can get a little bit too comfortable, but I'd rather have them too comfortable than running scared. So that defining moment of being let go, I love it. There is so much that we are now able to do, and I'm just embracing that, and I'm super excited. I have not had a moment of doubt. Someone said to me, are you scared? I said, I don't know. Maybe I'm a little scared because, I don't know what to do, but I'm not afraid. And so we are just marching forward. The team has been awesome. And this really, to me, is, and I've reached out to a lot of the people that people that will be on this podcast in the future. I called Tom Ferry. I called John Sheplack. I called Jason Will. I called Dustin Oldfather. I called Fred Hensler. I called Ryan LaFontaine. I called the people in my sphere that I knew I could lean on, right? And they all just said, just keep going forward. You've got this. Just keep going forward. And I already knew that, but man, it's nice to get a little reassurance. And then you get a little bit of tips, right? One of the guys was, okay, now you've got to call all of your current listings, which is like 65 of them, and you've got to tell them that you're making a change. And he helped me with that dialogue on how to share that with the people, which was huge. And so that's been awesome. Ultimately, guys, this is going to be a really defining moment in the history of the Thoroughbred podcast because we never expected to get fired. It is 48 hours removed from that moment, and we are resilient. We are moving forward. We are rocking, and it's a beautiful thing. So I would just encourage you a few things. You've got to run your operation. You've got to run your business from your heart, right? Now, if you're selling envelopes, it probably doesn't matter. But if you're in the relationship business, which means you're managing people, you've got to run your business from your heart. I'm just telling you. I would not be standing here. I would be telling you a very different podcast today if I ran it strictly based on numbers, because half of these people would be gone. You've got to run it from your heart. I think that's super important. The other thing is that you've got to be resilient. You've got to be resilient to anything that is thrown at you. Look, I shared with you a little bit on the first podcast about the childhood that I lived through. I mean, I just scratched the surface on it, from being abused, from being, from being abused, from being molested, from my mother committed suicide while I was home for me to discover her. I've lived through a lot. Right. And then moving forward with the abuse that I endured from my dad because he was so miserable from what occurred to him and he didn't recover from it. All I'm saying to you is that those are just the moments that God put me through and I was just practicing. All of those things, that's our journey. That's our practice for moments like 48 hours ago. Because I could look at that moment and say, this is nothing. And when I can then share that with my team because I believe it wholeheartedly and they can lean on me, that is nothing. And I know you guys have endured stuff in your lives. We all have. And I think that's what keeps me compassionate about people is I understand everybody has shit. And I get that. But I'm just saying to you, you've got to be resilient in anything that comes at you. Literally, you've got to believe in yourself and you've got to be resilient and you have to remove emotion and take action. I think that's the biggest one. You can be unemotional. You can do a lot of those. You can be strong and tough, but you got to take action. And so literally in the last 48 hours, the things that we've gotten done in 48 hours, most couldn't do in 30 days. And again, I didn't do it, right? I was just part of the team doing it. And so, we've got a motto on our group, one team, one dream. And I just love that because people will say to me, well, what's your dream? And I said, it's not about my dream. It's about yours. Right? And so we wear these t-shirts, one team, one dream. And our team now has that dream together because we're going through this together. So you got to be resilient. You got to be an action taker, right? And then you got to have a plan B always because I've been vacillating about going independent for 3 years. I'm always looking at buildings. I'm always, how would we do it, right? What would it look like? And because of that, we were able to really take a lot of very quick action. If you have a team of people, and I know this podcast is not real estate specific, but obviously I have a great sphere of people in real estate. So there are going to be realtors listening. I know some of my brothers and sisters have big teams. If you have a big team and you're under and you're under a national brand, make sure you have a broker. I am not a broker. I did not have one. 2 people on my team were though. Now, that was by happenstance, I'm going to tell you, but I'm reaching out to you to tell you if you're managing this team and you're under a national brand, make sure you have a broker on your team or get your broker's license because at any point, your ass can get fired, as I learned. The second thing would be check your contract and look for that backup plan and how you can extend your time frame of them letting you go. I think what determines an elite person is being able to just take a punch and then get up and go even harder. And that's what we've done. That's what I did 48 hours ago. That's what our team has done. And I think it's just awesome stuff. And I'm super, super proud of our group and of our team. And I'm thankful for you guys to tune in. This is going to be a story. I mean, this is going to turn into a journey because as we started this video and vlog and blog and podcast and all of this stuff, it was to capture these moments. And you couldn't make this moment up. This is real shit and this is what has occurred and it's going to be amazing and I'm very excited for this opportunity. I feel extremely blessed. I found a lot of peace in prayer. I found a lot of peace in my people and my wife has been a rock star for the last 48 hours, which has been amazing. That's been amazing. It's been huge. She just said, I think she said, F it, I got you. And she's had me and that's been huge. So guys, thank you so much for listening. I wanted to keep this one short and sweet because there's a million things to do still today. When you're in a moment of anarchy or chaos, you got to go to your strength. And you got to know what that strength is. And for me, I knew it was my heart. And for me, I knew it was my team. And for me, I knew it was my family. And so figure out where your strength lies when it comes to taking a slap in the face like this and take action and be resilient. And sometimes you got to put your middle finger up to people, right? And it's not to be cocky and it's not to run with ego, but sometimes you got to buck up. I looked at that scenario of me going to the sales floor And I know so many other people that would have went out there with tears in their eyes. And the ones that know me know I cry a lot. I'm emotional. But there's a flipping time when you can't have that. You got to just be resilient. And others would have hit that floor, ho and hum and woe is me, which certainly would not fire people up, and it certainly would not provide them confidence. We hit the floor that we're going to explore and explode. And that's what we're doing. And I will tell you this, that somebody texted me this from our Tom Ferry organization. All of the brokers in your community should be very afraid. And he's right. And I don't mean that out of malice by any means. I'm just going back to what I told you earlier. You've helped me get out of my comfort zone. And when I'm out of my comfort zone, I operate the best and I am unstoppable because I am a thoroughbred. And you are a thoroughbred. An elite business leader. An elite business leader. I love you all. Thank you for tuning in. Please subscribe. Please subscribe. I also want to give a shout out to Jay Pitts. I'm going to be on his podcast this week. This is a realtor friend of mine in Kentucky. He's got a hell of a podcast. Be sure to check that out. And then also, we're going to get shit done because I'm going to be with Joshua Smith on his podcast March 26th, March 28th. I will drop it in the comments so you know exactly what day and time, but that's going to be awesome. And I'm super excited for that one. No, I'm not going to Arizona for that one. It's going to be digitally done, but it's going to be awesome. Super excited for them. I'm thankful for them for having me on. And look, guys, we're on our second leg of this. We've got a whole lot to talk about, and I think that this firing of the John Wentworth group and allowing us to spread our wings is going to give us a lot of wonderful stuff to share with you and to help you and to coach you and just keep moving forward in developing into an elite business leader. Subscribe. I love you all. Peace and hair grease.